Welcome everyone to episode 13 of Let's Play Dominions 4 as Shinuyama in the 7-person free-for-all series. I'm actually coming to you from the future. The rest of the video will be coming right after this, but I have to warn you that something is still messing with my microphone recording settings, and it set them to maxed out, unfortunately. I'm still trying to figure it out. First it was Chrome. Google Hangouts was doing this. Before that, Skype did it. I mean, everything does it. But I'm just trying to let you know that I'm gonna try to do a little audio tweaking after the fact. That's something I'm not very good at, unfortunately, but I'm gonna give it my best shot because I'm just way overamped in the next 25 minutes. And also, I'm only gonna be doing turn 17 in this video. I didn't know that when I was recording it, but because of this mix-up and all that, it'll just be turn 17. So without further ado, I'll jump you back into Naive Tortuga, who's talking at full blast, overamped. I recommend that you turn down your volume. If this is, I should be coming in very, very quiet because it'll be about twice as loud when the other recording begins, which will be right now. So without further ado, hopefully your volume is in check, and I hope you enjoy what is going to be much more of a focus on the roleplay and the diplomacy that is going on in the game. Welcome back everyone to our Let's Play series on Dominions 4, playing as Shinuyama in the 7-person multiplayer free-for-all series. This episode I am flying solo. Unfortunately, I seen him before, cannot join because he is in London. And it's actually been a while since the last video because I was sick for a bit, and then our schedules kind of got out of line. But that's okay because I've been meaning to do kind of a more diplomatic episode recap. There's lots of different things that I need to discuss just that have been going on, and I've seen you before, my trusted advisor, of course, on all things, but he's not like directly in the loop with the diplomacy. I have to share with him like the emails and stuff that are going on. So this episode we'll just spend a little time, which would probably bore him to tears because he's heard this already. We'll spend a little bit of time just going through the diplomacy. Now I'm going to start with the normal recap of stuff. There was a battle in High Woods. We'll look at the battle. There's probably not much to say here. This is just first Asphodel reclaiming the land that I had taken. We don't have really anything there. In fact, probably not even worth. What do we have? A single bone? Yeah, we won't. Not even worth our. I guess we killed one carrion beast, so better than I would have expected. We had a battle in Stonegrave Mountains. This one's kind of important, but just because of the location. This is just once again their huge army. This is where they decided to go. So this is the end result of our curiosity about where Asphodel would take his forces. They went to Stonegrave Mountains. Again, this is an easy route. I'm sure we didn't kill anybody there. And last, there was a battle in Oak Halls. This is a change of territory. So this is just a nothing thing. This is our first, I guess I'll go to the battle because it's our first look at the Agartha military. That's a pretty potent military. So let me just go to triple speed. These guys throw boulders that hurt quite a lot. Yeah, there it is. Anyway, and then we also had a battle in the capital. We sent all of our people to patrol, and what that meant was we actually spotted the Asphodel scout in our territory. So they have a sneaky black harpy in this area. How much do these cost? Yeah, their gold upkeep is 20. That's not insignificant. But stealthy of 60, so extremely difficult to catch these guys, and we just got lucky. But unfortunately, the end result is that we are going to fire our arrows, do some damage, and I paused that a fraction of a second too late. Not do anything to them in the end, which is unfortunate. So, I don't think it shows. This is just the general screen. Okay. So the end result of all that was that we moved to Shinuyama to defend our capital, and Asphodel moved to Stonegrave Mountains. So they were here. You notice Rivia is now independent, and this is a big help to us because we can kind of eliminate their ability to jump to provinces. If they were to go from like here, they can't go directly to Rivia now. Rivia is a new place they have to take over. On top of that, even though this is extremely weak, it is some more army they have to fight, which is not us, which, okay, I doubt it'll cause any damage, but it's something to consider. It probably makes since this territory isn't ours, it probably lowers the incentive for them to move back. Because again, we're going to have that whole game theory thing. Let's see, what are we recruiting? I don't even remember. We're going to get a Bakemono sorcerer next turn. Fantastic. We got some more archers. We're going to just gather our army up though. And the idea here is we're going to try to force a fight. If he stays where he is. Well, okay. Obviously we want to get into a fight because we want to stop him running amok in our lands. Now after I think the correct decision, I still think even though we didn't force a fight with Asphodel, I think it was the correct decision to move to our capital. From there, what we have is the majority of these units are all moving now. You can see this with Y. Majority of our army is now all moving to Stonegrave. We have just one person to do some site searching going to Great Woods. Gaius Avidius Cassius is moving back to Anserna. We'll get him back over to Sylvania soon. But what's the important thing here? Let's see. So they took over this. Asphodel now controls the entire coastline again, but they don't really have any forces, no significant forces. All their forces are just still in their capital or down south. I don't know. Perenna is now independent rather than being controlled by Airmore, so it looks like they didn't push in. Let's see. I'm just trying to keep this recap short so I can get to the diplomacy. Okay, so the game theory we had here once again was, okay, where is he going to go? He could move back, he could move to Rivia, he could move to Vokon, he could move to Sirmiak, or he could move to the capital. Now, having seen that we moved to the capital, we imagine Asphodel, I should say. We'll just keep this in the role-playing. Asphodel probably knows that we're playing a little conservative, and we are going to continue to play conservative. The idea here is we're just going to follow his army. If he moves around and we just constantly gobble up the territory one after he takes it, in theory, Ulm or Man at some point will come down the coast and do great damage to him, and his army here is just doing nothing. If he wanted to come back home, he had the opportunity to do that by going to Anserna, which he didn't do. Maybe he predicted I would go to Anserna. I don't know. Anyway, so we don't know what he'll do next, but our plan is just going to be very conservative. Just keep gobbling up the territory behind him. And if we do this, we'll always be within striking distance of him. And he'll always, it kind of helps us to predict his movement even. Could be a case where, I don't know, can't think of an example. So if he goes here, and then if he goes to Vokan next, for example, I don't think he will. But if he were to, we could go to Sirmiak to predict his next movement after that. But yeah, I think that's kind of too obviously puts him into a corner, so we won't do it. But okay, so now a lot of stuff has been going on with the diplomacy behind the scenes. First of all, we had this Council of the Living, which was actually something Shinuyama was the first messenger to invite the counselors of all the living, which is basically everyone except for Asphodel and Airmore. And Airmore at this point is just getting their butt kicked. So we don't need to worry about Airmore too much. And even Asphodel, if they have Ulm, Man, and Shinuyama against them, they're also in pretty bad shape. So they're not doing poor right now. They're, on the aggressive. But eventually, you would imagine 3 nations against 1, the 3 would win. Wait a sec. So the Council of the Living was Shinuyama's way of uniting the people who are already against the undead. It's just an easy alliance to form. When it's 1v1v1, 7 times, 7-person free-for-all, alliances are hard to come by. And I think that this is, I'm kind of looking back on the development of things, and I'm realizing that us siding against the undead, if this was not Asphodel but Pangea, if Airmore was not Airmore but any other non-death, we would have such a more interesting time. But unfortunately, playing as the death races gave especially for, I don't know, people like myself who are role-playing a bit more, it gave us a huge incentive to form an alliance against them. It was really convenient. So I would be kind of interested in a parallel world where all our nations were kind of on an even tier. I mean, if I picked Shinuyama, this is even, I think, an obvious race for the humans we have, which is mostly everyone else, to side against. But that's even was one of my fears was, oh, we're goblins and everyone else is their race is all people, human. And this could be something which is used against us, which is why part of the reason why I developed my role-playing character as honorable. But also I think that honor is a big thing in the Japanese culture, and since although we're goblins, I kind of like that turning the normal cliche goblin, which is greedy and, you know, backstabbing and all that. I kind of like turning those things on their head, especially if you have you're supplied the correct background to do so. With the Japanese culture influence on the Bakemono, I felt that it was not an impossible reality, well, fake reality to imagine. Okay, so as far as the diplomacy goes, the Council of the Living formed, and actually Dast, if you're following the series live, like up to date, if you're watching it in the future, you probably already watched Dast's tactics, but I think he's probably doing the best job of including a lot of the roleplay elements, because he does have these Council of the Living comics. And I'm going to start showcasing some of the stuff that I have. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you guys have already seen my maps, which I'm not sure. You've probably seen this because this is... well, anyways, these are the maps I sent in the Council of the Living. This was the first one this is for turn 15. I sent this as what had happened, so this is the news. And then the next one I have is actually what I have my plan to do. We can kind of see already that things have changed quite a bit. Airmore has not pushed their invasion. I wasn't able to retreat with my full army. I decided to probe one further and was eliminated, so I don't have this sea army able to do hit and run attacks anymore. So a lot of this is just gone, and this X is true. We did lose that army in that province. So in this strategy, I was thinking of pulling back to just defend the homeland, hopefully taking out the main Asphodel army. And Man was supposed to march down. But the thing is, Man has decided not to do that, right? In fact, I think Man is going to either... I think he moves... Does he move to Highwood? I can't remember. I don't know what he's planning to do for the next turn. If he said he's going to move to Highwood, or if he said he's reinforcing, or even... I don't think he's going to move to Bostenne. I think he might be moving to Highwood. And Ulm, I don't think, is coming out. They were considering a probing attack on Fennica, but I don't... I think that I discouraged them by saying that the province is pretty well fortified. So since it's a local defense, unless you kill everything, it all gets regenerated. Anyway, the diplomacy, let me get to that. What happened was the original Council of Living included Agartha. And basically it was this warmongering against Asphodel and Airmore. Specifically, it actually started with Airmore, but since then, I guess, first of all, Vanheim has had great success against Airmore. And secondly, we realize Airmore is just very weak. They don't have a significant army. They don't, well, they did, but Oak Halls saw the end of it with Vanheim's decimation of their forces. They didn't expand very far. I don't know. It'd be interesting to talk with Sabouts after this game is over to figure out what was going on with Airmore, what was his plan. Because part of me even thinks that maybe he took a low dominion just to not spread his dominion too much and kill us. Like maybe trying to stave off, like forcing us to kill him by not being as threatening. But if that was the case, since we formed this Council of the Living just as a fallback, when you're not sure who will be your friend or foe, you can just easily just choose the death races as your friends. I mean, as your foes, and then people who are also doing the same. It's a very natural course of action. Are immediately your allies, and there, boom. Now you have easy allies, and it's very easy to tell who will be the dead races. So, like I said, again, this game would be so much more interesting, I think, if we didn't have obvious targets to kill. Then it would be true diplomacy, true backstabbing. Every man for himself in a real sense. whereas these dead races really gave us an easy out. It'll be interesting to see what happens if they fall, and it's left with only the 5 living races left. How will things be divided? But even then, we are already buying a lot of time to sort out who is naturally going to ally with who during the course of these battles, so it won't be the same as like a fresh start. Okay, but I'm going to try to keep this episode a little bit shorter because I really have to do episode 18. So I already know what happens in this episode. I'm a little behind on my recording because I was sick for a bit, so I have to do episode 18 right after this. But I might be getting the diplomacy a bit confused. But the diplomacy, I just want to talk about it for a good length here. I also want to point out that, just in case you forgot, this was Incompetent Idiot. He decided to do these little expansion charts for us, which is awesome. So this is where we start out. This was like turn 1, or yeah, obviously turn 1. I don't know if this was turn 2 or turn 3, but we did some expansion. Actually, it's a lot longer. Maybe it's significantly longer than just a couple turns. But so we expanded here. You can see this is the isthmus down here. Where is it? Ah, right there. Canon. Okay, then we moved a little bit more forward in time. We encountered Man, Vanheim, Agartha. We expanded a little bit more. We have this underground. Remember, we had that meeting with Vanheim. Then we expanded. We saw more of Man. We saw Ulm over here. Garth Vanheim, okay. And then the last one I think I have here is, yes, this. We found Asphodel. Man still there. And Ulm. We saw a little bit more. And this is the last thing that Incompetent Idiot charted for us. But that was I just really like to show these, because this is what this episode is going to be about. Stopping and kind of taking in what has been going on so far. You can kind of think of this as like a review episode up to this point. Okay, now I'm just going to take that away because the next thing we want to talk about is the diplomacy. And I keep going off on tangents, but I really want to talk about the Council of the Living. So it started out with, like I said, with Agartha. Agartha was part of the council, and what happened was Agartha was basically kind of accused of not helping with Asphodel because they have a 24-turn, a 2-year peace agreement with Asphodel. And I'm looking back on it now, like that didn't seem like the worst idea turn 10 or so, maybe even like 6-7 turns ago. But now it does. And I can see why. Because this Council of the Living, which we've had the convenience to form, it's all about building this attack on the undead. And since Agartha, for some reason, is not attacking Airmore, excuse me. I don't even remember the reason why they're not helping with Airmore. They're just really sitting on their heels. But even more importantly, they're not attacking Asphodel, which is the main threat for us right now. Because you have Ulm, which was attacked by Asphodel, right? Man, who countered in because they're close. They cannot do anything with Airmore, obviously. And also Shinuyama. We're actually bordering both. One of the lucky few who is actually bordering both of them. But our main foe is going to be Asphodel because Vanheim has stepped up and is really eliminating Airmore. So Agartha in this whole council has just been kind of listening, and there's been secret diplomacy on the side, kind of feeling out who is at peace. I mean, with Agartha, it's been like, do we have this agreement that we'll stay for a non-aggression pact until this turn? We had this discussion over Black Peaks, which actually originated that discussion about peace for a while. And of course, I'm happy to be at peace with Agartha for a long period of time. I have my hands full already with the undead. So, okay, but at some point, Ulm, who was originally attacked by Asphodel, so they have this deep-seated hatred for Asphodel, supposedly. We'll see how deep-seated it is. It appears to be like I would be upset if my capital was being sieged by Asphodel, so it seems like it should be legitimate. But they, when they learned that there was a little bit of in-character versus out-of-character mix-up, where I think Agartha was talking about how he talks to Asphodel, but I think he was Marcus Aurelius saying he talks to Dwarf Comic, and it was confused because it was in a role-playing thread as him talking to Asphodel, being in like diplomatic discourse or something with Asphodel, and Ulm said that this is basically reacted very poorly to this, saying, these are the people who are trying to kill me. How dare you be, this is like a traitor's move to be in any kind of contact with Asphodel. And what this is all discussed in Das's, let's see, is this okay to share? This is for sharing, but I'm going to put a link to this in the description and also a pinned link for it. But Das Tactic has just done, he's obviously a fantastic writer, artist, etc. So he's done this whole comic. This is the Council of the Living. So remember, this is from turn 1412. I don't remember when anymore. But the Fortress of Ulm is put under siege by the evil forces of Asphodel. The various other living races send a flurry of diplomats, and the Goblins of Shinuyama call for the Council of Living. So Das Tactic basically took our email role-playing discussion and put it into a comic. And this is really, I haven't been role-playing much in the videos, but I have definitely been trying to keep a role-playing spirit up with my fellow players, with Das Tactic and Wade Star. Not unfortunately with Sabout's or Dwarf Comic, because I have had like very little interaction with them in terms of alliance, but also with Battle Moose and Marcus Aurelius as well. So that's the 5 on the Council of Living, and I'm just gonna post this, but you can see that Das included my my original turn 14 image. It's all about the different emails coming in on this huge Council of Living. So this is really where you're going to get all the diplomacy that's been going on. And I think that's something which has been missing from my videos, as I'm saying, that you haven't been getting this sense of my role-playing behind the scenes, which maybe is what some people are saying, that, I'm just trying to win, or of course everyone's trying to win, but am I trying to min-max the system and just do whatever I can to win from a min-max or a violation of the spirit of the game type perspective? And I would say absolutely not. This comic proves that I'm really much more about the roleplay. And it's true, the Goblins of Shinuyama, remember, when Ulm was attacked, we decided to go help Ulm for no good reason in terms of like game mechanics. It doesn't get us ahead, it doesn't really buy us anything. We'd be much better off just expanding and all that. And we just decided to do this because I thought it would be a fun thing for the Goblins, for the Bakemono to do. And so we've done it. And that's what the Council is about. The Council is about forming this, big role-playing medium for all the different players on the side of living. Anyway, again, I'm going to get sidetracked, so we'll just keep moving forward. That Ulm essentially at some point just said, how dare Agartha be in conversation with Asphodel? There was some confusion. And basically, Agartha, because I guess they're not really contributing anything to the Council anyway, had left the Council, which is very cool. I mean, it was unfortunate that I'm not sure how it worked out, like with people's feelings and all that. I hope that everything was just role played and there was no hurt feelings like for actual people. But it worked. It was a amazing dramatic moment in the Council where you had basically. I keep relating this to Lord of the Rings. You can imagine the elves, the different groups of men, and the dwarves all sitting there, and maybe like the dwarves storm off. They are unhappy with the current. Maybe they had discussed a non-aggression pact with Saruman, with Isengard, and now Ulm, who could be Rohan, is really pissed that they're doing that, and so the dwarves are so unhappy about Rohan's reaction that they leave the Council. Anyways, that's how I see it. It was a very cool dramatic moment in terms of like drama, as long as nobody actually had their feelings hurt, I hope. So Agartha left, and I have just been putting the pressure on Man or Ulm, somebody to go down this channel. And you could read all that because, in fact, that's not even the whole of it. That was only comic number 1. It actually continues in comic number 2. So credit to Das Tactic for putting this all together. And what I was going to say is, if you have not yet invested the time in looking at Das Tactic's series, I suspect that he is putting in the most time for his series, and I think even to a higher extent even for his Patreon supporters. I don't know what it takes to be a Patreon supporter to get access to the special videos or whatnot, but I think that's available. So that stuff is happening. Oh, this was a... I think this was... I don't remember sending this. This must be turn 14 because This was after we had already moved there. So this is the turn 14 one. Yeah, here we go. Here's the turn 15 stuff. Okay, good. So anyways, I'll put a link to both of these, but their DAS tactics work. He just has allowed us very graciously to share them. So I kind of waited when posting this video. It'll probably come out a little bit later than other people's turn 17s. This is much after I think DAS has already shared these comics, and I wanted it to be that way on purpose. So I think that this one ends at the end of turn 15, but I'm only sharing it on turn 17 because I want everyone who's going to watch DAS Tactics first, or watch whatever video comes out first, I want them to all get it from DAS first, because it's really he's the content creator for this, and all credit goes to him. I mean, the individual writing is all of our actual conversations inside the council, which will make it kind of interesting for people to watch or read. And I think that I think it will do one thing, which is highlight my strong role playing in behind the scenes, basically. So that, whoops, I'll take that back over here. That is the that'll get you up to speed with all the diplomacy going on. But the long and short of it is Agartha's left. Ulm is kind of pinned right now, trying to build up an army in order to push onto Fenica, and Man is waffling. I asked Man to go down and attack into High Woods, knowing that there's nothing to stop him in any of these three. Just nothing. 6, 20, just carry on beast mannequins. 10 mannequins carrying bees, and then even only 30 here. Now, this would be the most typical one to take. Obviously, you can't take it in a turn. You can only just defeat the province defense and then siege it. But his other, he has like 2 other groups of 5 centaurs, black centaurs down here, and I just don't. His army is very weak, so I'm really trying to push for Man to go down. But Man said he won't. So now we just have to sit back and wait for somebody else to take action. Because Man said he will, but not yet, basically. It's not yet time. And you'll see in the diplomacy, the second Council of Living comic, that that's what that's what Man's response is. So, okay, so I think that this is a nice 25-minute episode. Huge change of pace from my usual episodes, though. Not really focusing much on what is going on in terms of what we're recruiting, what is our strategy. Our strategy right now is just to follow, hopefully catch the Asphodel army, but it's a guessing game. If he stays where he is, we will catch him, but I assume he'll move somewhere. It seems a very natural course of action. In fact, because we think he will move, maybe he will just stay where he is, but that doesn't accomplish quite as much. The more he moves, the more damage he does, so I think he'll move. But yeah, and then I'll get back into the next episode, turn 18, we'll be back to discussing the whole, what are we supposed to do with this army in our homelands. So that's going to call this episode, no, this will just call this first, I don't know if this is going to call the episode to a close or not. I have to see how long my turn 18 recording is. If it's just by itself, turn 17, then I guess that's at the end of the video. If not, then I'll see you in a couple seconds for turn 18. But in either case, I hope you found this interesting, and I will try to spend extra time responding to comments here. Again, remember that there'll be a pin comment with just access to these 2 comics, which are really interesting. And again, thanks to Incompetent Idiot for supplying those the expansion maps from the beginning. That'll be useful for me to remember what I originally did come the end of the series. But yeah, okay, so either thanks for watching, or thanks for watching no matter what, but I'll either see you back in the next episode, or I'll see you in a sec for turn 18.